In this section of the course, we'll look at the character and paragraph panels and look at best practices to modify character attributes, set text in paragraphs, and generally make your type look great. We'll start by building a simple invitation postcard similar to this one, which I downloaded from Graphic River. And there are tons of great designs there that you might want to check out for typographic inspiration. So let's say a friend wanted me to design their birthday invitation and sent me this text file of everything they wanted on it. I could copy and paste the text from here into Illustrator, or I could use the place method that we saw earlier. So I'm just going to go up to File, Place, and then double-click on my invitation text to select it, and I'll import it without removing the text formatting. I'm just going to drag this over here to the side of my postcard, and now I can copy and paste from here. I have my selection tool chosen right now, and if I double-click, it switches to the Type tool, and now if I triple-click, I'll select this entire line of text. And I'll just press Command-C or Control-C on Windows to copy, and then I'm going to hold down my Command key and click once on the artboard, and what this effectively does is deselect the text object, and then it lets me click once to create a new point type object. And I'll just paste the text in there. Looks like I have an extra carriage return here, so I'll press Delete, and now I'm going to style this type. Now I could get to my character panel up here in the control bar, but I want to have it open so you can see it, so I'm going to press Command-T, which is the shortcut, to open up the character panel. And in the typeface field, I can just start typing the first few letters of the font that I want. In this case, it's Ostrich, so I'll type OS and get right to it. Then I could tab down to the next field, which is now set at regular, and if I use my up and down arrow keys, I can cycle through the variations of this font, and I want bold. Here's where I can choose a size for the font, so I'll choose 60 points and see how that looks. And I want to center it on the artboard, so I'll choose Center Alignment for my paragraph. And then I'll open the Align panel and make sure that Align to Artboard is selected. And then I'll center align that. Now you remember the keyboard shortcut for increasing or decreasing the point size when we had the text selected. Well, that actually works when the object is selected, so right now I've got this type object selected with my regular selection tool, and I can press Command-Shift plus the greater than key. It's also the period key, and of course Window users that would be Control-Shift, and then the greater than key to go up, and the less than key, or the comma, to decrease the point size. Next to the size field is the leading field, and we're going to get into that when we have a paragraph of text, but that's the space between the lines. Below the size field is the kerning. Kerning refers to the space between letter pairs. So you can see that there's kind of a lot of space between the Y and the O here, and that usually happens with a letter like Y because it has that sort of negative space in it. So you can tighten up that spacing to make it look better. I'm going to double-click to insert my cursor there, and just choose one of these values from this drop-down menu. A negative value makes the kerning tighter, and a positive value makes the spacing looser. The keyboard shortcut for this is the Option key plus the left arrow to make it tighter or the right arrow to make it looser. Next to the kerning is the tracking, and tracking also refers to space between letters, but it deals with entire lines of text. So I'm going to triple-click to select this whole line, and then I can choose a negative value to tighten it up or a positive value to make it more airy. The keyboard shortcut is the same, so when you have an entire line of text selected, you press the Option key and the left or right arrows to change the tracking. Now you'll notice that it's going up or down in increments of 20 units. And when I'm using the keyboard shortcuts, I'm really intending to fine-tune the tracking, so I want the increments to be smaller than 20. And you can change that under the Preferences menu in the Type section. So instead of 20 here in the tracking, I'm going to enter 5. It's a really small amount, but like I said, when I'm using the keyboard shortcuts, I'm really getting picky and adjusting that spacing in very small increments at a time. Now I can go back and adjust some of the kerning, and you want to use kerning only on display type. You're not going to kern individual letter pairs in body copy. I'll press the Escape key to switch back to my selection tool and just nudge this type object down a little bit. And then I'll go over here to the swatches and change the color to orange, and I'm done with this section. So if you want to practice kerning and learn more about it, there's a kerning game at type.method.ac. To get started, I'll move this E, and now I'm presented with different words in different fonts, and I can adjust the spacing the way I think it should be, then test it against the site. It's good practice, and you see how different kinds of fonts are different when it comes to the spacing between the letter pairs. and it's also kind of fun. In the next video, we'll move down to the next section of the character panel and take a look at vertical and horizontal scaling, baseline shift, and rotation.